Dear viewers, welcome to Beyond Borders. The ties between India and Canada have taken a turn for the worse. A series of dramatic incidents came after Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau blamed India for the death of Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. In fact, it was Trudeau's diplomatic failure that made the relationship sour. He is equating terrorism with democratic protest. He failed to recognize India's legitimate concerns and take any concrete step to check anti-India activities on Canadian soil. In this context, let's look into the issue in detail. The primary reason for this growing tension is the rise of Khalistani sentiments in Canada, which has worsened the relationship in recent years. In June, India hit out at Canada for allowing a float in a parade depicting the assassination of the former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. It is perceived to be a glorification of the violence by Sikh separatists and evoked a strong response from India. Trudeau's visit to Delhi for the G20 summit was disastrous. He received a cold welcome and PM Modi conveyed India's strong concerns about the continuing anti-India activities of extremist elements in Canada. But right after PM Modi expressed his strong concerns with Trudeau on the sidelines of the G20 summit, a Khalistan referendum event held in Canada by Khalistani separatist group SFJ. Following Trudeau's departure from New Delhi, the two countries announced cancelling negotiations on the bilateral free trade agreement. Trudeau then made serious allegations against India in the Canadian Parliament. He said India was behind the murder of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, who was the chief of the banned Khalistan Tiger Force and India's most wanted terrorist. Canada has not yet provided evidence for this, but Trudeau's statement worsened the bilateral ties at a time when India is already unhappy with the Canadian authorities for not cracking down on pro-Khalistani groups carrying out anti-India activities. India responded sharply, dismissing Canada's charges. It accused Canada of sheltering Khalistani terrorists and extremists who threaten India's sovereignty and territorial integrity. The bilateral ties reached their lowest on September 19th when Canada expelled India's top diplomat. In a tit-for-tat move, New Delhi expelled a Canadian senior diplomat. The Ministry of External Affairs said the decision reflects India's growing concerns at the interference of Canadian diplomats in our internal matters and their involvement in anti-India activities. Meanwhile, Trudeau did another diplomatic disaster. He tried to mobilize Western leaders against India by putting pressure on the UK, US, France, Australia and its other allies, but failed to secure backing from its closest allies as they declined to rebuke New Delhi over the death of the Khalistani terrorist. They could easily sense the folly of spoiling ties with India by supporting extremist movements. This is not the first time that India has accused the Trudeau government of not doing enough to tackle the Khalistani issue. While Canada has seen as providing a safe haven to Khalistan supporters for years, this trend has reportedly increased since Trudeau came into power. Trudeau's presence at Khalsa Day celebrations in Toronto in 2017 irked India. The constant harassment of Indian diplomats and officials by Khalistanis is a major foreign policy stress point, and Indian diplomats based in Canada have pointed out this in numerous occasions. But Canada's inaction, despite India's growing concerns, is driven by vote bank politics. Trudeau's Liberal Party is heading a minority government in Canada. Last March, he struck a deal with the New Democratic Party to stay in power until 2025. The New Democratic Party is headed by Jagmeet Singh, who is seen as a Khalistani supporter. Hence, Trudeau wants to appease the NDP to remain in power and not to lose the Sikh vote base. India has legitimate concerns. If the Indian embassy is being attacked, the country has the sovereign right to register its protest, and that's precisely what India has done. However, Canada failed to recognize this. If we compare it with the pro-Khalistan protests that took place in the UK, the government there dealt it with very sensibly. Canada bears a similar responsibility to ensure that such violence does not occur on its soil. Otherwise, it will turn out to be a boomerang for them in the future. Hope this video is informative. Keep watching.